As technology advances, it is more and more common to see examples of it in all aspects of our lives. This includes school. We're turning away from classic paper and pencil classrooms in favor of online work and resources. While we can say it saves trees, can we say it's an overall positive change for the students? Is more technology always for the best, or is there a sweet spot between online resources, online homework, and full online classes?
I do use Edmodo in a few of my classes.
Google Classroom, Edmodo.
I used it as a way for students to access copies of the notes that I would be using as well. I used to write a weekly letter for parents as to what we were doing in class so they could go on and see a weekly news.
Google Classroom is very helpful because teachers can edit your document once you're done with it. And Edmodo, you can ask them questions if you have any and they'll answer them. Unless teachers know how to actually code or use a website, it's not very helpful for them or for students. But Google Classroom is just a good overall. Every teacher should use it.
I use Google a lot. I use Google Drive a tremendous amount. I find it's more universal. One of my classes is almost completely paper-free. Because everything is accessible through Google Drive. You can bring it up on your phone, you can bring it up on an iPad, a computer at home, a computer lab at school, you can bring it up anywhere.
Many students can find use in these programs, but perhaps there's a more involved use of online resources.
It was a bit different than what I expected.
I don't think it's quite as user-friendly. It took a while to understand the website that we use.
I was expecting to have more time to do the work and for it to be less rigorous than a normal academic schedule as if I were going to class. It's harder than I expected, I will be honest, but I feel like I am grasping the material on my own terms.
I'm not going to say very hard, but I'm going to say that if you take an online class, you have to be responsible and invested in it because your teacher is not there to tell you to do your work. There is no assigned end date. You don't get a grade during the end of the semester.
I wouldn't recommend it for students who are just taking it to take it. You're learning a lot more when you're in class.
There's a whole bunch of social aspects to it that I feel like online classes deprive you of.
Maybe full reliance on online resources isn't the best idea. Based on student input, there should be a balance between online work and in-class interaction.
The End of Theory is my version of a Moodle course. One of the problems with a lot of online classes is that they can be insanely boring because you're taking the worst parts of a classroom and you're putting them online. Here, everyone, here's my handout. You can see it online. And that's not what an online course is supposed to be. Online courses are supposed to be this opportunity to interact and to enjoy learning in a different way. So End of Theory is my way of doing that by turning Moodle into partly a role-play game.
Mr. Chisnell has created an End of Theory game online for students to interact. I think it's a brilliant concept and I've never seen anything like it. Students are engaged, they're talking about it, they're stressed out about it, they're challenging each other by it. It's something that's extremely, extremely creative.
The short story of End of Theory is that it moves a lot of the drudgery work of the classroom to the online space and opens up the space of my physical classroom for discussion and interaction.
I feel that the Moodle experience is basically a very good way of teaching. It brings about a whole nother light to the experience where you usually are just in a classroom and your teacher teaches you. And then when we have this Moodle board with Chisnell's class, he's able to put in all of these internet links and we can learn more about the different theories we're learning about the different teachers, different psychologists, scientists, and all of those things.
What I run is something called a blended classroom. And all the tech studies, all the education studies out there are, at least in the last 2-3 years, are saying online courses on their own are not as effective as what's called a blended course. And the blended is partly in classroom, partly online. The real advantage of education is when we have people, human beings, working with each other. And when they're doing that, then education is at its strongest. The biggest goal then of that balance is to find the right balance between what the human component can do best and what the technology component can do for us best.